Good afternoon, class. This is grade 7, and we will be dealing with social studies. And I'll be teaching you social science, which is history, geography, and civics. And today we will start our first chapter from history, which is India in the medieval period. Allow me a minute here while I share the screen, and before which I would like to introduce myself. My name is Blessy. Right, so let's quickly move into the chapters. I'd request you to keep your books open or look at the screen as I teach. Okay, just trying to pick the first page here. Right, that's it. India in the medieval period. So we all know that history of India is divided into three different periods. The first one is ancient, second one is medieval, and the third one is modern. Right now we are dealing with medieval, and you would have studied about ancient Indian history in your class 6, and now you are in class 7, so you will be studying about the medieval Indian history. Now, before we jump into the dates and periods, let's see what we will learn in this chapter today. We will be learning about the history of medieval India. The second thing about the literary as well as archaeological sources of the period. Thirdly, about the emergence of new social and political groups, kingdoms, etc. So don't worry about the terms. I will explain what each of that means, and it will be simple and you will definitely enjoy this class. So medieval India. The period of medieval India is from 8th century to 18th century. So if you can see here on the screen, I've made a note of that. So it's simple to remember, 8th to 18th. Keep that in your mind. Do not forget it. That is a gap of 10 years. Okay. 8th century to 18th century. So now, what is the period of medieval India? 8th century to 18th century. And this 8th century to 18th century is divided into two parts. So firstly, we call it the early medieval period, and the second part is called as late medieval period. So now the early medieval period has 4 years and the late medieval period has 6 years. So 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. So a total of 10 years of medieval period of Indian history. So once again, it's 4 years of early medieval period and 6 years of late medieval period. Now, if it starts from the 8th century, then 8 plus 4 gives you 12th. So it is from 8th century to 12th century is your early medieval period. And the rest, that is 13th till the 18th, is your late medieval period. I hope you understood that. If you did not, let me explain that to you again. First, we saw that the medieval period of India is from 8th century to 18th century, and that is for 10 years. And the medieval period of India is divided into two types. One is early medieval period and late medieval period. And the early medieval period is for 4 years. So you add 8 plus 4, it gives you 12. So the early medieval period is from 8 to 12, and the rest that is remaining is after 12 is 13. So 13th century to 18th century is your late medieval period. So that's easy to remember. Do not forget it. Right. Let's move on. So we see here that during the medieval period in India, there was a lot of changes in the society, and in every society, change is dynamic, change keeps happening. So what are the usual changes that happens in a society? It is economic change, political change, religion, and culture. So just to learn this and to understand this better is why the entire medieval period is divided into two different parts. Now, what exactly happened during the early medieval period? During the early medieval period, the that is from the 8th to 12th century, we were ruled by the Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Cholas, Rajputs. They were the rulers during early medieval period. That's all we have to learn under an early medieval period. First thing that we need to know is the 8th to, it's between 8th to 12th century. And the second thing that we have to know is the rulers who were ruling during the early medieval period, that is Palas, Pratiharas, Cholas and Rajputs. Now, easy to remember, Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Cholas and Rajputs. So that is PPRCR. So just remember that there is P square, CR square. Okay. So that is for 2P is Palas and Pratiharas. For C, it is Cholas. And for 2R, it is Rashtrakutas and Rajputs. Next, what happened during the late medieval period? From the late medieval period, that is from 13th to the 18th century, the country was taken over by the Delhi Sultans and then the Mughals. Okay, that's just two of them, the Mughals and the Delhi Sultan. So that's all we need to learn under the early and the late medieval period as explanations. Next, let's move on to see what was the name of our country, India, before it was called India and how we arrived at the name India. Okay. Now, in the first article of our constitution is where the name India was used. And it was also called as Bharat. So the article in the constitution stated like this. It said, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. So when the constitution was written, both the names India and Bharat existed. Okay. Now we will see the history of both these names. We will see where it came from and why those names came into existence. So there's another name other than India and Bharat. We also have a name for our country. People also call it Hindustan. Okay. We will see the meaning also of this later. Well, now Hindustan might mean a different thing, but earlier the reason why they called it Hindustan was something else. So we will look at it as well. Now, moving to Bharat, the name Bharat came from Bharata. He was one of the sons of a big king, Dushyanta. He was a legendary ruler. If we are all familiar with Mahabharat, we know who that king is. So Bharat is the son of this famous king. And that's how the name Bharat is derived, because Bharatha was a ruler of huge part of the country. Since he was a good ruler, half of his name was given to the country that he was ruling. So it was called Bharat. Bharata ruled Bharat. Okay, that's how Bharat, the name was come. Now, this name has been used since the 17th century. And according to Herodotus, the Greek historian, it is an English term given from Greek, which um, so the Greek Herodotus here talks about the name, the river Indus, and he says it is because of the river Indus, India got its name. And the Greek, it's the origin of the word is from Greek, and the Sanskrit name for Indus is Sindhu. So Sindhu is nothing but the river Indus or river Sindhu, and that's where the name Indus came into existence. So now we know where these two names came into existence. Bharata, because of Bharata, the king Bharata, we got the name Bharat, and because of river Indus, we got the name in India. And during the rulers, when Mughal and Sultana period, they called India, and they also called India as Hindustan. Okay, now that's the next name that we are supposed to deal with. And let's see why they called it Hindustan. Before we move into the next name, just recapping the name that we learned. First name is Bharat, second name is India. And we saw that the name Bharat is derived from Bharata, son of Dushyanta, the legendary ruler from Mahabharata. And Indus river gave the name India. And it is an origin from Greek word. And also we learned the Sanskrit word for Indus is Sindhu. Now moving on to why we are called Hindustan. Let's move to the next page. Okay. And this is also mentioned in one of the books, one of the chronicles from 13th century, Minhaj as-Siraj. So it's pronounced as Minhaj as-Siraj. So it's one of the chronicles that is written in 13th century. What is chronicles? It is a record. It is written by a person. Okay. And here, the place near Punjab, Haryana, and Ganga. These places, they were under the Delhi Sultans. So when the Delhi Sultans were ruling Punjab, Haryana, and the lands between Ganga and Yamuna, they called this place as Hindustan. So in the early 16th century, Babur used the term Hindustan to describe the geography, fauna, and culture of the inhabitants of this subcontinent. So basically, Hindustan was only a name given to the land in Punjab, Haryana, and the land between river Ganga and Yamuna. And this name originated from the Delhi Sultans. And Babur, King Babur is the one who used the name Hindustan. And why did he use it? He used it because he wanted to describe this geographical location, the fauna and the culture and the people. So Hindustan was only a name given to this particular part of India. However, Hindustan became a synonym or as same as India when Britishers came to India and they conquered the entire India and they united the entire India under their leadership. Earlier, before Britishers came, India was divided and India was ruled by different kings, and India was not one country. It was divided into many empires. But under Britishers, the entire country was united and they started ruling India. And when that happened, the entire India was called as Hindustan. So, while the idea of geographical and cultural entity like India did not exist during the medieval period, the term Hindustan did not carry the political and national meaning which we perceive today. Okay, earlier it was only for geographical and cultural reasons why India was called as Hindustan. However, political or national meaning that we see in our country today did not exist. Now, how do we learn about medieval period? How do we know that India was called Hindustan? How do we know India was called Bharat? How do we know who are the kings? How do we know the name of Babur? How do we know the name of the other kings? We did not live in that century to know about it. But how did we know? So we will look into some of the sources of medieval period. So when we say sources, which it means from where did we get the information from? So we know that historians depend on manuscripts, inscriptions, buildings, artifacts, coins, etc. to study the past. So one of the very distinct feature of medieval period was it was not like the ancient historical period of India where the scripts were less, they had to depend on cave art, they had to depend on any of the dolls or the sculptures that was found. However, when it came to medieval India, there were enough number of literary or textual records, and it was really increased compared to the earlier period, which is ancient period. During medieval period, there were enough literary sources. What is literary sources? Anything that is written, anything that is related to a language that can be written. Now, let's look into the literary sources. Now, to write, we need paper. Now, paper was invented by China around 100 BCE. Now that paper moved on to rest of the world and slowly it also reached India. And in India, literates and chronicles began, and usually how it happened was if a king would rule in a kingdom and he would have judicial records or accounts of taxes that he collected or poets in his court. And based on those records, we get information. So those are one of the literary sources that we have. Then, because this manuscript written by poets or people in the king's court was really expensive, only people who were wealthy could possess it. Only kings or the ministers could possess it. So all this was stored and all this was found. And also there were things like carved in the temples or anything that is written in the temples, any books that is available, any mantras, any of those would also give us information about this period. Now, these manuscripts and documents provide a lot of details and informations to historians. However, when historians look at this manuscripts, they have to be really careful because in those days we did not have a printing press, but only people used to rewrite everything that they had already had. So we did not have photocopies, Xerox machines, but they only had to see and rewrite the same thing. And when the scribes, people who write, they made multiple copies, there were chances that there are mistakes or misinterpretation or mistakes while copying. Okay, that is why historians needs to be really careful when they look into the manuscripts record because there are chances of mistakes. Right, like I mentioned to you earlier, see, the medieval chronicles were written by contemporary authors who were either court historians or travelers who came to India. And these chronicles are full of information on the contemporary political and economic conditions. But such writings are not free from prejudice and bias. So bias is one's own will of writing it. Now, if I'm writing it, I would write it how I like. And if somebody else looks at my work and if they rewrite it, they would rewrite it according to what they like. If two poets go and sits near a sea, both of them will not come back writing the same thing because both of them have a different view about the sea. So it will be biased based on their likes and dislikes. So that is one of the problems with literary works. Hence, they are not always reliable. That doesn't mean we do not rely on them. It just means that we cannot fully rely on them. But when there are no other sources, we have no other go but to rely on them. Now, I want you all to go through this important foreign travelers and their accounts, read their names and read where they are from. And if there is any information that is given there is very important and it would come in your exams. I would not ask you to by heart it. It's good if you can, but make sure you know and you're familiar with all of their names and details. So first one, Al-Masudi. He is an Arab traveler who gave an extensive account of India. Remember this, Al-Masudi is an Arab traveler. That is important. Okay. And Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni, he came to India with Muhammad of Ghazni. Muhammad of Ghazni, we've heard about him. And he traveled all over India and wrote books Taqi-e-Hind describing the social, religious and political conditions of India. So remember Al-Biruni, remember that he came with Muhammad of Ghazni, and also remember his book Taqi-e-Hind. Okay, recap. Muhammad of Al-Masudi is an Arab traveler who came to India, and Al-Biruni came with Muhammad of Ghazni, and his book is Taqi-e-Hind. Okay. And the next person is Ibn Battuta. So Ibn Battuta, he was a Moorish traveler. Ibn Battuta was a Moorish traveler who visited India during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So, Moorish traveler Muhammad bin Tughlaq. His book Rihla, and that speaks about Muhammad bin Tughlaq, his rule, the geographical conditions, economic and social contribution to India. So Ibn Battuta wrote about Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and he is a Moorish traveler. Those are important. Next, we will see about the others tomorrow, and make sure that you remember these three names, that is Al-Masudi, Al-Biruni, Ibn Battuta. So when the next class, when you come, make sure you have read about all the three of them and you know the details of them. So when we read the next three, you would not be confused. So let's just do a tiny recap till where we studied. We started with India in medieval period. We said medieval period of India is divided into early medieval period and late medieval period. And the medieval period of India is from 8th century to 18th century. So early medieval period is 4 years. So it's 8th century to 12th century. And late medieval period is from 13th century to 18th century. And during the early medieval period, who were the rulers? The Palas, Pratiharas, Cholas, Ashtrakutas, and Rajputs, that is PPCRR. And during the late medieval period, it was Delhi Sultans and Mughals. Now, we saw about the names of the region India. We saw India had multiple names before. We saw constitution used India as Bharat and India. And we also had another name called Hindustan. And we saw where those names came from. Bharat came from Bharata, son of Dushyanta, a legendary ruler mentioned in Mahabharat or Mahabharata. Okay. And then we saw the name India came because of river Indus or river Sindhu, which is the Sanskrit word for river Indus. And then we saw that Hindustan was the name given by the Mughals in the Mughal period and the Sultanas period. And why did they give that name? Because they saw this land of Punjab, Haryana, and the land between Ganga and Yamuna had beautiful geography, beautiful fauna, that is animals and culture and the people. And then they named it as Hindustan. However, when British came to India and they united the entire country and brought it under their dominion, they called the entire India as Hindustan. That was during British Raj. Then we saw from where do we get this medieval sources, the information about this medieval period. So we got to know that we get it from manuscripts, inscriptions, buildings, coins, etc. And the first source that we learned is literary source. What is literary source? Something that is written and that can be read. And we saw about how manuscripts is written and rewritten and not printed, because of which there are chances of having mistakes and there are chances of bias in the writings. Then we spoke about 3 foreign travelers and their account. First one, Al-Masudi. Who was he? He was an Arab traveler. Second one is Al-Biruni. He came to India with Muhammad of Ghazni. Third one is Ibn Battuta. He is a Moorish traveler and he spoke about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So that is all for today, and we will meet again. Have a good time. And if you have any doubts, feel free to contact.